welcome back to my channel. This video I wanted to do another cityscape, and this one is actually of Lincoln. Quite a nice scene. It's a photograph that I took a few years ago, maybe perhaps 2 years ago. I remember it was a really nice sunny day. We got some nice weather, and you can see the scene itself has got nice contrast in shadows and quite a lot of sun hitting the buildings and also on the people. So let's have a look at the palette that I'm using. Today's palette, I'm using the Winsor & Newton. These are professional grade watercolours, and I'm just mixing up a blue, although there's no blue really in the scene. I wanted to have a nice sort of blue sky, and so I'm just popping that in over the sky area. And I will be using this blue. I'll bring it into the building on the right hand side. So I just continue that colour the way through into the building. And you can see I'm not fussed. I'm just covering the white of the paper, obviously leaving highlights. And here I'm just adding a little bit of sort of a grey colour just to change the look of the building. Carefully cutting around there's two people in the foreground. There's a lady sort of in the middle. So I'm just going around and just missing those people so I can paint those in at a later stage. So you can see the first wash, how quickly I'm going across the paper. This is Bockingford cold press, £140, which is quite a nice weight. It doesn't buckle too much, although it does, so just bear that in mind. And I've taped the paper down onto my board. This is just a board that I got cut at a DIY store, and so I use this every time I paint. It just helps just to keep the paper sort of flat, but as it does get wet it does buckle slightly, so just bear that in mind. And the board, I've probably got about a 35 to 40 degree angle, and there you can see that's the first wash done. So not really, just covering the paper, just leaving any highlights. And now just going over the roofs. So this is the second sort of mid-tone, so I may go over and darken that even still. And there's some nice texture on this building on the roof, so you got some lines that I will cover soon. Okay, now this is you can see where the paper's buckled slightly, so you just got to bear that in mind. Sometimes I go across, and for me it's harder to paint a straight line horizontally while the paper's buckled. So sometimes I might tilt the paper on its side, and rather than do horizontal lines, just come down the paper, and that often helps. So that you could do that, bear that in mind. And I'm just going in different roofs, put a little bit of red into the building roof on the left hand side. You can see above there, just to give it some sort of difference, just to break the roofs up a bit and to separate them. And there's a bit of a tree, some sort of bush on the side of this building, so I'm just adding that in. And it is wet in wet, so the colour will sort of merge into the building. It'll sort of melt into the building itself, which isn't a problem. I'm not fussed about that. That's not an issue. You can see it's sort of bled out quite a bit. But that's one of the things, that's one of the beauties of watercolour. It does this sort of thing. And I'd just rather go with it rather than fight against it. So let it do its thing. Just add the water and let the sort of pigment spread. And you can see you get these beadings just on the bottom where the water sort of finishes, and so the colour sort of groups up at the bottom. So I will take that off as I go on. You can see I'm just dabbing out. There's a bit of a doorway, and I just felt it was quite a bit too dark, so I wanted to take some of that colour off. So you can always do that with tissue, bit of tissue paper, and just blot and lift out what you don't need. So this is quite a nice building. You can see, I think, is it Tudor style? I'm not sure, not that familiar with it, but you got these nice sort of beams, these dark sort of oak beams running through the building. And that's one of the things that attracted me to this scene itself. You got all these sort of buildings with all this architectural detail, which is quite nice to paint. It's just something different. And so there's a nice shadow which goes around the side of the building. You can just see the side, just the angle that I've got. You can see the side of the building. And then there's these top of the door. I'm just going around doing the windows. These are quite nice windows. Again, I'm not doing exactly the same as the photo reference. Just getting an impression. Again, I wanted to keep this quite loose, quite simple to follow. And there's a nice big window on the bottom here. So I'm just popping that in. You can see you just got to be confident with the brush. Get those nice, broad, confident strokes. And then there's less need to sort of go over and over. So just quickly go across. Especially with lines, I find lines quite hard to do, so if you just do it quite quick, then you do get a nice straight-ish sort of line. And just popping in some of the structural details in the background, some of the buildings, you can just add lines just to replicate, just to suggest some lines, some details. In this window, in the window pane, it's sort of a green colour, so I'm just adding some of that green, and then there's a green door, so I just wanted to add that as well and just add some tone to the windows. And this building on the right hand side is a nice brick building, so I will be covering that with a deeper, darker sort of red mixed with cad orange. So just adding the windows. There's a nice sign there. This actually says Michaelgate. If you know that, in Lincolnshire, in Lincoln's town centre. And there's a nice castle on the top of the city, and there's a cathedral which sort of overlooks the city. So it's a really nice place to visit. We had a really nice day over in Lincoln. We stayed in a caravan not too far from there, so it was probably an hour's drive to Lincoln Centre. So there's a few people in the scene. I'm not the best at painting people. If you've seen some of my recent paintings, it's not my strong point. But I'm quite happy the way I've got these people, the way sort of the movement and the looseness of them. So I'm quite happy with that. I think I've done quite well. There is somewhat of highlight on these people because they are in the sun. And then there's the cast shadow which comes off the building and goes straight across to the left hand side. You can see that sort of going behind this lady, and she's got a nice sort of green coat with some highlights and darker tones, so I will be doing that as well. Now the scene itself, it had quite a few more people, but I just wanted to include the ones that I've got on just to give an overall sort of impression of a busy sort of scene. And so there's these people here that I'm just filling in, just in the sort of mid sort of foreground. So because they're they're not that close to us, you can sort of get away with just doing impressionistic figures. You don't have to do much detail for them. So I'm quite enjoying just doing the loose sort of impressions. And you can see there's a few figures there. So let me know what you think if you drop a comment. Do you like these sort of city scenes? What sort of scenes do you like to see? Would you like some more of these cityscapes, townscapes, buildings, things like that? I do think I do prefer these sort of scenes. I just find them quite enjoying to do. So I do enjoy doing these. So yeah, just drop me a note, let me know what you think, drop us a comment. If you like this video, then please do give us a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, then please do so. It really does help my channel to reach more people, so I do really appreciate that. I've had a lot of subscribers lately and a lot of likes. So I do appreciate that. If you're new to my channel and you've subscribed, then thank you very much. So I'm just going in, adding the rest of the details to these people, and I'm pretty much nearly completed this scene. Again, not after something exactly like the photo reference. I don't want realistic sort of painting. I want to keep it loose, and I just find it's a bit more forgiving to do things loose. If you go in if you do a painting that's tight and exact, then anything that's slightly off, maybe the perspective or anything that's not quite right, it just sort of stands out. So if you keep things loose, it just offers a bit more freedom. And you can sort of wing it in some places. You have to be exact. So just as long as you get the proportions relatively realistic or relatively accurate, then that's fine. That's okay. So there we go. That's the people. I've done that, and I think I actually forgot to film. I just took the masking tape off, and there's the scene. I've signed it. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.